Let's talk about some kind of practical advice, some 6 steps that are going to, we use and you can implement for yours. So stakeholder buy-in, first of all. Rowan, I think you got, something you touched on already, but got something particularly you can share in terms of stakeholder buy-in.
Yeah, so I think what I mentioned at the start, so when I came into Signet talking about EVP, the phrase got banned quite quickly because I was confusing people. So like you put on this slide here, is avoid the buzzwords that kind of people hear all the time, and keep the communication that you have as real as the content that you're going to produce. And I think people just appreciate that and find it much easier to buy in. The other thing is do it bit by bit. I think if you try, my nature is to do it all at once, all the time, every time. But when you're doing something that's new, pick one site, for Signet, or one location at another company, or one product, whatever it is, and then do a pilot, just see how it goes, and then you let the data drive the next decision.
Definitely, yeah. I think, and when it comes to audience, of course, lots of people say think about the audience, but I think if you go back to the mindset and definition slide that we talked through, is that absolutely don't, like we did with the podcast. This is not about it's not about selling us as an organization and our job opportunities. What can we do to actually help people? What can we do to give them something that actually becomes a utility for them to help them take that next step or that first step in their career. And also, I mean, I've seen over the years plenty of research, projects where there's lots of conversations with employees, and that ultimately filters into the development of the banned EVP phrase, but actually there's a lot of content there that should not only be filtered into the research, should be absolutely used in your marketing as well. So actually, and Rowan's done this as part of Discovery. We also created in those kind of discovery and content days to help get that content, and we're doing some really interesting things over the next few months around that as well.
The beauty of this as well, Chris, is that if you go to a brand agency, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here to anyone watching, but if you ask for I want to renew our EVP this year, then that's big ticket. That is, I used to sell them myself, and it's cost a lot of money, a lot of work. When you do the discovery days or content days, you actually, if you're canny with it, you revalidate your EVP and the promises that support your EVP with every single session, and you just document that, and that is all the research you're ever going to need again. It's unbelievable, proper eye opener. Back to you.
Absolutely, and I think, and then. I mean, we could talk. We'll have to do another episode on this, I think, for the podcast, that's for sure, to go into more detail around this. But the next thing around content production, I think, goes back to what we talked about earlier on about making the most of assets you're creating. So, actually use the Zoom calls for things that may typically be talking heads that require a lot of movement of people, into locations, and save the higher end production stuff for more documentary style video. But once you've created that content, absolutely make sure you break it down from macro content into micro content, because a blog post could easily be 3, 4, 5, 10 pieces of content.